Hey guys, welcome to Looks Unfiltered. Today we are going to do something a little bit different. I want to read you guys a few Reddit stories. We're going to react. I don't really have anything planned specifically. I am in an incredibly high pain flare up, so I want to keep to my schedule. I already missed last week, but I was really busy packing for the market that went really well on Sunday. So I just needed a little bit of a break, but we're back, and I'm going to use that as as a not an excuse, as a way to tell you guys that really listening to ourselves is important. And sometimes all we want to do is just really fun things, or silly things like reading Reddit stories and reacting to them. So we'll see how many we get through today, and editing looks can always add in some bits to tell you how many we've done now. Hey, editing looks here. If you guys can hear chomping and chewing, that is my dog. I thought the microphone wouldn't pick that up. It clearly has. I apologize in advance if it's annoying to hear chewing and chomping in the background. She is adorable though, so there's that. We also have 5 stories coming up, so enjoy. Without further ado, let's start reading. We're gonna start one that just caught my eye because I think it's quite funny and also awful. Um, and it's from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? And the title goes, Am I the asshole for switching to regular milk to prove my lactose intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me? So, proving that your roommate steals from you, I think it's important. Like, own up to your shit. You're a fucking adult. However, if you know this person is lactose intolerant, causing someone to be sick to prove a point is hard. Anyway, it says, Me and 2 other guys share an apartment together and we split all the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. Everyone's in charge of buying their own food and we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything so no one gets mixed up. This issue has been going on for almost a year and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, R, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work and containers of my leftovers are sometimes missing. They all have my name on it. Or my stuff finishes too quick. My gallon of milk, for example, I buy almond milk because I like the taste, but it seems to finish after a week, even though I only drank it once or twice. My other roommate and I carpool together because we both work at the same early morning shifts around the same area. So I know, I know it's not him. It's always after we get back home and ours already left for work that I notice my food is gone. My roommates also had a similar problem, but not as often as I do. I guess because R doesn't really like what he buys. The funny thing is, R buys a lot for himself and is even more stingy about his food. He will literally point out what's his when he comes back from grocery shopping and tell us not to touch it. Last week, my milk was nearly empty again and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and I refilled the gallon with the one that I bought. This was to catch slash prove R is the one stealing since he's lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work and R is pissed. He yelled at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with diarrhea because of milk. He was using it to make a shake. I only responded with, So then you're the one that's been stealing. And he freaking exploded. Yeah, he admitted he was sometimes drinking my milk and eating my food, but he was more mad that I switched milks than the fact that he was caught. I told him I wouldn't have done that if he'd just stopped taking my stuff from the fridge, or at least told the truth instead of trying to make it seem like I was making it up. My roommate backed me up and thought it was kind of funny he got payback for stealing from us. It's a little tense right now, and my roommate told me R is trying to convince him to agree to kick me out. Little does he know, we're both looking at moving somewhere else together because we are sick of his shit. I told some buddies what happened, and a few think I'm the asshole for that. I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it. and I wanted to prove it. Does this make me the asshole? Look, I think you're not the asshole because you're being stolen from. And the audacity that this man has to go, yeah, okay, I was drinking your milk and eating your food, whilst all the while being incredibly like stingy and protective about his own shit, but then not like owning up to anything, which again, the caucasity of it all. Um, let's face it, this is probably a white man.
A white man? No!
But it just feels like he kind of got it coming. I don't condone making people sick. I think it's risky. I think you don't know the level of intolerance he has. You don't know if he's going to be like anaphylactic. Like allergies are nothing to be trifled with. But obviously, we don't have the context of his allergies. Maybe he knew that it wasn't that bad and he just got like the poops or whatever. But it feels risky. But in this instance, yeah, you're not the asshole, dude. I don't see a situation unless it was like you knew he was going to go into anaphylactic shock and you wanted to do it on purpose. Like you clearly knew he was going to get like an uncomfortable tummy and that was going to be your proof. And I think that's the important part is that it wasn't that bad. But being like constantly having to buy more groceries in this economy and almond milk is not cheap. So like to constantly have to go up and do that and nah, miss me with that. You're the other guy's the asshole. You're not the asshole. How about, am I the asshole for taking my girlfriend's lasagna home when she said I could? Okay, let's go in. I don't know what to think about this one. My girlfriend and I are both college students. She lives in an apartment on her own, and I live with my parents. On Sunday, my girlfriend made a homemade lasagna for our date night. She made everything from scratch, including the noodles. It was really good, so after we finished, I asked if I could take the lasagna home for my family to try. She said yes. When I left that night, I took the tray of lasagna with me. My girlfriend didn't walk me out, so she didn't see me take the tray. On Monday, I got a text from my girlfriend asking where her lasagna was. I told her I had taken it home to my family, and she said, I thought you were going to take some, not the whole thing. I spent most of my food budget this week on it with the intention of eating leftovers for the rest of the week. Now I don't know what I'm going to eat. I felt bad and apologized, but pointed out that I had asked her if I could take it home, and she said she didn't tell me that I couldn't take the whole tray. She said it should have been obvious. Yeah, it absolutely fucking should have. That she didn't say take the whole thing since the tray was so big. To be fair to her, it was really big tray. My family of 5 only just finished the tray yesterday after eating it for both dinners on both of the following nights. But I don't think the size of the tray makes it obvious that I shouldn't take it. Monday night and last night, my girlfriend complained that she had to eat instant noodles for dinner so that she wouldn't blow her food budget. Today, she's asking me if I can buy her a sandwich since I took the leftovers for the week. It sucks that she spent her food budget on the lasagna, but I think it's her fault for not being clear that I shouldn't take the whole thing. I don't think she is justified in asking me to pay for her lunch because of it. She called me an asshole for not being willing to help out. Am I the asshole? Yes. Yes, you fucking are. Are you kidding me? Like, I appreciate you are a young child and you clearly live with your parents. So maybe you still have things, maybe lots of things done for you constantly. However, if it's in a massive tray, yeah, take a portion home and give your parents a bite to try. Don't fucking take the whole thing. If you like, there's just, this is a common principle, unfortunately, that happens with people that are socialized as male where they think the world revolves around them because guess what? It fucking does. And unfortunately, that's not true. But in most people get raised that way where their parents will do everything for them. They will have a lot of things that will be handed to them. And look, don't get me wrong. You've got good parents. Cool. Great. They support you. Amazing. So happy for you. However, you clearly have someone who is independent, living on their own, going through college, and having to pay all of their bills, and she does something nice for you, which is cook, and you take it all from her. She expresses the fact that this is upsetting and she now no longer has food to eat. And all you think to do is that it's not your fault because she didn't say don't take the whole tray. Nah, you're acting like a kid, dude. Do not do that. You're acting like a child. You're not being considerate. You're not being thoughtful. You are not like trying to use any sort of emotional like forethought to be like, hey, let me think to ask. Maybe if you don't know, if she didn't say, ask, hey, am I taking the whole thing or am I just taking a part of it? Like, what are you doing with the rest of this? It's just incompetence at that point. Is it weaponized? I don't know. He could still be young, but at that point, to think that she's the asshole for asking for food, like, I get it if she were to be asking for like a new handbag or something frivolous, but like she literally told you, I spent my whole food budget for the week on this, and you took it, and you don't even feel bad. Your first reflex wasn't, oh my God, let me have you over for dinner at my parents' house. Let me help you out. Let me see if my mom will make you something that you can have for the rest of the week. Let me make you something for the rest of the week. Yeah, why am I exporting the labor to the mother? But like, what? You think that this is okay? Nah, you're the asshole. The most top voted comment was, you're the asshole for not only hooking up with her, taking her food, and then you took her whole meal plan for the week. Like, I get that there was miscommunication that happened, but you should have fixed the issue immediately and helped her out get real food, my guy. Mm, this is. It's the asshole behavior afterwards. Okay, you made a mistake, you took the tray, fine. But like, she tells you that that was all her food, fix it. Fix the mistake you made. I'm getting heated. I need to calm down.
I need to calm down.
I need to calm down. Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's a nice and short one. Still from Am I the Asshole? And it says, am I the asshole for singing a song to my wife at our wedding and making her angry? Yes. Just yes. 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 I haven't even read it. Let me read it. Let me hold up. I just got married last week. My wife and I are both in our 30s. I am Mexican, she is American, but we both grew up in the US and both our families know both languages. My wife planned every bit of the wedding and she was very controlling and nervous bride. But all right, I get she was stressed. During the reception, I went to the band and asked them to play a song for me to sing to my new wife. It was Te Amare by Miguel Bosé. It was a song from our first date in a really bad Mexican restaurant, so it became a long-standing joke between us. The guests really loved the song. My mother-in-law cried and told me it was beautiful, but my bride seemed upset. I asked her what's wrong, and she said that I'm an asshole for taking the spotlight to enforce my ethnicity and not just let the band sing our song. Am I the asshole? No, absolutely not. I recant everything I said before. I was fully on the man hate because men love to take everything for themselves. This is a beautiful gesture. Um, your wife's a dick. I'm sorry. Like, this tiny inkling of like she was really controlling and nervous, but it's fine. She was stressed. It seems like you got to take it on face value, right? But people that get that anal about a day that is meant to be about you and your partner and you make it about yourself scare me. I think that's what they do. They scare me because I get that you're spending thousands and thousands and thousands in whatever currency that you are spending your money on. But at the end of the day, this is just a day for you and your beloved to show how much you love each other to the world. You don't need to be like a dick. And also, like, I didn't say this, I thought it the second it left my lips, and I didn't say it. You married a racist. You married a racist. Like, to have somebody so deeply upset that you showcased a song that meant a lot to both of you, that is in your native tongue, from a Mexican singer, I'm guessing contextually, and she's pissed. You both speak Spanish, so it's not even like she doesn't understand what's being said. So so her problem was that you showcased being Mexican, which by default, racism. You married a racist, and I hope you can get that marriage annulled right quick because you're no longer safe. She's shown you who she is, and yeah, it's really sad. I'm sad for this person because he did such a beautiful gesture and calling back to their very first date and gets accused of stealing the spotlight and enforcing his ethnicity. I would assume that he's come here because he feels conflicted, because he loves his wife. There's holding on to that culture and wanting to celebrate it in a way that is beautiful and welcoming and loving and wanting others to participate and enjoy that culture, and to realize on what is supposed to be your happiest day that the person you love thinks that that is wrong. It's a lot. That's a lot. Those are a lot of conversations, hard conversations that need to happen because, okay, like, could you give the bride a pass saying, okay, she was stressed? Maybe, but what it sounds like is that she wanted it to be all about her and that you were just another set piece, part of the fairy tale that she's had in her mind since she was probably a little girl. And it's devastating. It's devastating to read this. Yeah, it's weird. One of the comments here says, her accusation is bizarre. I'm not sure what enforce your ethnicity actually entails. I suppose she's implying that he's swinging around his heritage like some kind of weapon. Another person goes, the overall undertone is kind of mystifying. I know a lot of women would be awe and blush deep pink being sang to at their wedding. Somebody here who has the same reality as I do. She may have been worried about reactions from racist family members or may harbor some internal issues. I think most people would react really happily about what Opie did, and as long as it wasn't meant to humiliate the bride. And that's a good point, right? We've seen many, many instances, especially online, of men humiliating their brides, like throwing a full cake in their face when you know that they've spent hundreds and hundreds on a makeup artist for the day and a hairstylist for the day, and or pushing them into the pool so the gown is wet and the hair and the makeup is wet and all of these things, and they're capable of doing this in front of their whole family and her whole family. So obviously we know that, and I think that's where my head was at the beginning of the post. I was like, oh, this is going to be another one of these stories. He's going to have saying something super inappropriate and it's going to be bad. But actually, it feels like the opposite. This is a person who wanted to do something nice and turns out his wife's a racist. Not great. We don't love that. Not fun at all. This next story. So, this is another one from Am I the Asshole? It's from 3 years ago. It's Am I the Asshole for giving my stay at home wife a written performance review with suggested areas needing improvement? Yes. Yes, you are. You absolutely are. Okay. Let me not be like the last one and not jump too hastily. I, 33M, share one child, 6F, with my wife, 36F. She has another daughter, 13F, that lives with us full time. We also have custody of our niece, 15F. The teens are each other's best friends. They share a large bedroom, which was done at their request. The dynamic here is pretty much mom and youngest against the teens, with me being referee between everyone. My wife has taught the youngest she can blame others for her actions to avoid consequences. She says the word, and one of the teens will get punished without question. There's no doubt she is my wife's favorite. I love her, but she's becoming nothing more than an entitled brat. Just a mere example, my wife and I had an appointment we both needed to attend. When we came back, it was apparent the pool had been used. They're not allowed to swim while we aren't home. As the youngest divulged, Mommy, I was in my room coloring. I never went swimming. The teens said that that was not true. She had gone swimming as well. Only the teens were punished. My wife refused to get the youngest any kind of consequence. I later found her wet swimming suit hidden in the garage. My wife and I argued. I felt strongly she needed to not only punish her for swimming, but also for lying. After a relentless disagreement, I was silenced as she gave the youngest a very minimal consequence. The lying, blaming, and favoritism ultimately caused the teens to act out, understandably. Most of their consequences are done by giving more chores, specifically the chores the 6 year old has. Or, as of recent, they were removed from music lessons as a consequence. I have a lot to say about consequences. We'll finish the story. I believe they're so frustrated they don't even care when they verbally attack their mother after the unfair treatment towards them. After all, they already get blamed and punished for things they don't even do. From my perspective, lashing out gives them a release. We've had countless tiring arguments. She'd either not see her faults or we'd agree to do this and that, but it was never actually done. I decided to write her a performance review as a stay at home mom. Her areas in need of improvement, well, it was a lot. But I touched on how she needs to listen better and stop being biased, be fair in all her decisions, and stop making rash decisions without taking all 3 kids into consideration. I recommend her to give each child the same amount of one-to-one alone time to speak or just be with one another. So it wouldn't be an entirely slap to the face. I gave her accolades on her strong points for other areas aside from parenting. I guess I felt this would work best because I could organize my thoughts on paper without her interjecting. However, it quickly backfired in my face. Yeah, I'm not surprised. She was quiet for the first hour after I handed it to her. Then she completely exploded on me, said that if we're going to do this type of shit, that she was going to get a private bank account and take half my paycheck every week. She further said the review was abusive, manipulative, sexist move. Am I the asshole? Sort of. The review is just not the way to do it. I appreciate that you wanted to like get your thoughts down because I think that's important. I think maybe if you had written her a letter or if you had brought these notes to a conversation, but a performance review makes you her superior, which you are not. And you are clearly also the parent to these children. And just because she's a stay-at-home mom doesn't mean that you don't have as much weight in this conversation, right? Obviously, parents should probably be a united front. It works best to show up together, even if you don't agree. I think that you're supposed to not agree on everything, but I think definitely these are things that need work. So going back to like the consequences, I don't think that giving chores or removing things that help children process, like the music lessons, is a punishment fit for what they did. Yes, there needs to be consequences to their actions, but removing things that educate them and that penalize things that they will need as skills later on. So chores, for example, chores were given to me as a punishment and I now feels like a punishment anytime I need to clean, anytime I need to organize anything, it feels like punishment. And therefore my body gets into this mental anguish an anxiety state that is not normal. It should have been taught to me that chores and looking after myself and looking after the space that I'm in are things that benefit me and that make me feel better because my environment is safe and it is clean and it is taken care of. Those are the things that kids need to learn. If they learn that they have to do the dishes every time they're bad or they lie or whatever, they create this association with if I'm bad, I have to do these things that aren't good or they're not fun. And rather than potentially doing something like writing an essay about why lying isn't something that you should do to get what you want, or doing having a consequence that is useful, right? We want to make sure that they're not associating self-care, which is a chore, with being a punishment because that down the line has insane consequences and I'm living them to this day, right? And I think that a lot of us were punished with chores and with removing things that felt safe. And I appreciate that, like, okay, you need to remove something because there's a consequence, but does it need to be that? Could the consequence not instead be a task, right? A task of creation. Okay, well, you're not allowed to swim, so I need you to write me an essay about the dangers of swimming with no parents. I need you to write me a list of rules that we can have by the door about the swimming pool that we can read every time that we go away. I need you, and it's about creating teachable moments, right? To a kid who was unable to be honest because it was always a punishment. And in this instance, having the teenagers and the little one be opposed, this is going to create such friction. And these girls are at such a pivotal age at 13 and 15 that they're learning that women aren't to be trusted in this instance. They're learning that women are in competition with each other. They're learning that they don't have anybody to rely on because clearly dad's not good enough either. Like dad's not stepping in. They're having arguments, but is it productive? Probably not. Is it something that they clearly don't know how to communicate with each other because he sent her a productivity report. So he clearly sees her as lesser than him because she's a stay-at-home mom. Stay-at-home moms, full-time job. Like more than full-time job. It's an always on job because she doesn't get to put her feet up at the end of the day because she's still on. She's still a mom. So like he gets to go do work and then he probably like sits on the couch and chills out. Well, meanwhile, she's still working, right? So like we can't separate that. However, the fact that the mom has created this little cult of personality around this little one is so detrimental to every single person in that household, including the baby. Because what is she learning? She's learning that she'll get whatever she wants whenever she wants, that there's no consequences to whatever she does. And I believe in consequences that should be appropriate for every age, right? Like the 15-year-old should write an essay. The 13-year-old could probably do that. The 6-year-old could write a chart about things that we don't do when we don't do it to our siblings or we don't do to our parents or how we don't lie and like what could the consequences of lying being, right? You need to make things so that kids integrate why you're telling them not to do something. In terms of like safety around a pool, like there are so many accidents that happen with parents present that like kids need to understand how scary it could be if something went wrong so that they understand that they shouldn't be doing that without proper supervision. Yeah, okay, a 15-year-old might think that she's all that, but if she's responsible for a 13 and a 6-year-old, what if something happens and she didn't notice? Parents who lose children to swimming accidents never like get over that. So how is a teenager gonna feel, right? Like there's so many things that they're not gonna have the hindsight or the foresight to be able to reckon with. But that's when you start teaching them those things. You have, like he mentioned, one on one conversations about what happened. And you explain to them the fear that you had, right? The fear that, oh my gosh, something could have happened to you and I wouldn't have been there to protect you. And that needs to be understood. They need to understand your feelings. And if you don't know how you're feeling and you can't communicate that, then you need to fucking learn so they can learn. Children learn from you. It's really complicated because in this instance, I do think he's an asshole for giving her, sorry, a report. The way it was done is wrong. I think he probably has like a superiority complex. He clearly talks about incidents in a way that like he feels very removed from them. Like what is he doing in these situations? You don't you're not doing anything, right? Like it doesn't sound like you're doing anything. It doesn't sound like you have input. And if this is also your child and you think that she's making your child like turning into a brat, this is also your child. You can do something about it. The highest comment, sorry, is everybody's an asshole. The concerns you have raised are legitimate and it needs an urgent solution, but the way you went about it is really unhealthy. The parenting of your children is not a project. You are not her boss and you are her husband and the father of her kid and her partner. Giving her a performance review comes across as really condescending and, as she said, manipulative. And that's true. It does feel very manipulative to be like, I'm going to give you a performance review. Like I appreciate that some people are very literal and maybe he does this with his employees at work, so he thought that it would be a good way, but she is not your employee. She is your partner. So act like it. I think that's the difficult part is that people don't want to be partners. If he has said, okay, you're the stay at home mom, then you're the parent and I'm the moneymaker. And I find a lot of couples are like that, where like you can be the parent and I'll just give you some money, and then they'll complain about giving you the money and they'll complain about supporting you. But that's a whole other story. Yeah, I think she's definitely an asshole and needs a speaking to, but you also need to grow the fuck up, dude. Should we do one last one? Am I the asshole for being mad my boyfriend won't make noodles the way I like? Okay, this sounds dumb, but hear me out. I've always been a picky eater, especially when it comes to tomatoes. Ever since I was a kid, my dad would make my spaghetti different from the rest of the house. I like having the essence of the sauce flavor in the noodles, but not the overpowering flavor having noodles bathed in sauce creates. So, here's where it gets a bit odd. My dad would separate my spaghetti from the family's after putting the sauce on, and then would rinse the sauce off in the sink in the strainer. I love noodles like this as it makes a nice subtle tomato vibe given to the mild spaghetti. My 20 boyfriend, 26, has known about this since we first started dating. He has always told me my food habits were cute. We've been dating for almost 3 years now. Editing Lux here. I just did the math in my head, watching myself understand the math, and I think I need to outline this here. This person started dating a 23-year-old man, started dating a 17-year-old. Just let that sink in. And have moved in together at the beginning of the pandemic so we could lock down together. Ever since we moved in together, he insisted on taking charge of cooking and all cooking related tasks, dishes, grocery shopping, etc. And he assigned me the role of cleaning the bulk of the apartment. We split every other task 50-50. Everything was perfect and he always seemed to be making noodles the way I liked them when we had them. This was until last week. We ate and everything was good, and afterwards he started teasing me saying that, like, you really like your pasta with the essence of tomato, and how is your tomato essence, babe? Always using finger quotes around the word essence. After a few comments, I felt something was off and asked him if he had done anything differently tonight to the noodles than he normally does, and he started laughing. When he finally stopped laughing, he told me the whole truth while smirking. He said, I didn't do anything different than I usually do. I've never been making it the way you requested. Shit like this pisses me off. Anyway, let me finish reading. Apparently, the entire time we've been living together, he's just been skipping the pasta sauce on the noodles entirely. He claimed that if I didn't notice for this long that it shouldn't matter, that he is making dinner in a way that is easier for him. I disagree entirely. I think the lying was a huge breach of trust, it is, and so was a refusal to make dinner how I wanted. I have admittedly been acting passively aggressive toward him since, but he thinks he did nothing wrong, that I'm overreacting, and that I need to let it go. Am I the asshole? You're not the asshole. You asked for something weird. He said he was going to do it and then didn't. The lying is the biggest part, right? You trusted him. You asked for something. He said, okay, I'll do that. And then because he didn't want to do that, rather than tell you, he then goes and just makes it the other way. Whether or not you noticed is not the point. The fact that you asked for what you wanted and he said, yes, no problem. And then he goes and does not what you wanted. That is a breach of your trust. That is manipulative, and that's an incredibly dickish move. Because what else has he been doing things like that for, right? Like, it's just shit like this pisses me off. I appreciate that you might think that what I'm requesting is weird. If you do not say that you will do it for me. I'll make my own food. He told her, I'll do all the cooking stuff, you just clean. She trusted him. There was no trust there. There are edits. So this is edit number 1. My boyfriend found the post and is not happy. I'm debating pouring the sauce directly down the drain to spite him. So you should. Edit 2. So a lot has happened since this morning. Y'all may be happy to hear that we broke up. Oh, thank fuck. We had a huge blow up fight since he found the post, which led to me breaking up with him. He did not like being called a predator, and I started to think that y'all had a point about that, so I ended up breaking up with him. He attempted to plead with me a bit. My parents pay our rent, so he can't afford a place without me, but I wouldn't budge. Now, some things I found out in the argument. First, He's not a pharmacist like he's always told me. He just works at CVS. And two, he has actually cheated on me multiple times with other girls that go to my college. And lastly, and worst of all, he has never actually been allergic to dogs, just doesn't like them. Jail. Just jail. Like, this woman is so young. She's only 20 and she is trusting someone, right? Again, it goes back to the trust. This bitch has been lying to you. Clearly, I said it earlier. What else has he done? Clearly, he's cheated. He's lied to you about his job. Like, oh, you're so much better off just in the bin. Shit like this makes me so sad because as people socialized as female presenting humans, we constantly get told to look the other way for things that are weird. We constantly get told that our intuition is off, that we're overreacting, that this, that, and the other thing. And every single time when your intuition is speaking up, when you have that voice inside you saying, this doesn't feel right, it's because something's wrong and you need to listen to it. And I have bashed on about it last season and I'm going to do it again this season. Intuition is a skill that you need to develop because unfortunately the society that we live in has punished women for using their intuition. They've called it, say that you're overreacting and that you're thinking too much and you're going too deep. It's not that deep. It's not, it is. It is that deep because clearly you're hiding something and my body knows it. And your body will always know. It knows what's right for it. It knows what it needs and you need to listen. And unfortunately for this girl, it was a big, big blow up, but she's only 20. So hopefully, because her parents pay for her apartment, she can stay there alone. There's no problems. He can just GTFO and it'll be better without them. It's been a lot. This episode has been a lot. I wanted to do this, be nice and chill, react. And yeah, I've reacted a lot. We went a lot of places today, gang. And I'm really happy that you guys were along for the ride with me. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I will add the Reddits in the blog post that I attached to the podcast episode so that if you want to read the comments further, you can absolutely do that. This has been a lot. But I did go and try and find the worst of the worst. So this is intense. I hope that this week we've done something different because I wasn't feeling good and maybe you weren't feeling good and maybe this is your week where you just needed something different. And it's okay to say no to things. It's also okay to give up. On a personal note, I kept a promise to myself by going to a class that I said I was going to do every week. But I left early because my body was tapping out. I was going to be sick. I was sick. And my body was just not happy. And I pushed through. I went and I left early. And that's okay. Because guess what? I showed up and I kept a promise to myself. And that is something that I've promised myself I was going to do this year because I think it's important to work on reaffirming safety within myself and not letting myself down. I think that is one of my biggest wounds is that I have an abandonment wound, but I'm the one who abandons myself quite a lot because that's what I was taught to do. So relearning how not to do that and to show up for myself, but also listen to myself, realizing that, okay, well, today wasn't the day and that's fine and tomorrow might not be that day either, but this is what I wanted to do and I'm doing it and it might look different. And I think that's what this pod is going to be. It's going to be a little bit less formatted than it was last year. Some days I might have things that I'll have written out and I'll speak more eloquently with because I'll have actually thought out what I wanted to say. Other times it'll be like this where I'll have just said what I got to say and that works too. And I think that's part of what I want is I want to show up as authentically as possible, but I want to show up. And I think that has always been my problem is I've been afraid. I don't want to be afraid anymore. I think there's plenty of things that I'm afraid of and that have kept my world very small. And I don't want that anymore. I don't want to feel small. I don't want to feel trapped. And I don't want to let the mindset of being ill stop me. And I use that very candidly, right? I think that there is a very real thing as to letting yourself be ill is important and recognizing that you are disabled and the internal stigma you might have against that about you should be able to do this and you were fine and you could have done this years ago and blah, blah, blah. But I think there is also a mindset shift that comes with that where yes I am disabled but I'm not going to stop living because of that, and I'm just going to have to adapt my life and adapt how I do things. And if that means that I go places and I leave early, then I've went places, but I've left early, and that's okay, right? I can still say that I did it. I can still allow myself the celebration of keeping those promises to myself and not limiting my world and making my world so small. And I know that that's a privileged way of being. I know that there is a lot of, yeah, there's just a lot of privilege in being able to be like, well, I tried, right? Some people just can't. And that's okay. Like if you're in that phase where you just can't, you also have to cut yourself some slack. You are not feeling well, and that's okay. If your body says no, if your mind says no, okay. I think what I'm doing now that's different is that I'm asking myself, could we just go? And then if we don't like it, we can leave. Because a lot of the times, part of the hardest part for me anyway is getting out of my house. That is a big fear of mine because bad things happen outside my safe space. But allowing myself to say yes to things and then giving myself permission to leave if I don't like it, to leave if I don't want to be there, to leave if my body says no, to leave if I tried and it's just not for me. I think that's okay. Like a lot of the time I would have, well, not a lot of, just yesterday, like when it happened, I felt like a failure. I felt like I was, it triggered so many of these, like, you're not good enough. You don't deserve this. Like, you should have just stayed home. Like, why did you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, all of these racing thoughts that was trying to make me feel bad about myself. And actually, on the contrary, it's like, well, no, but you showed up. And I was expressing that to a friend of mine who echoed it. She was like, but you showed up and you tried and then it didn't work, and that's okay. Like it's okay that not everything works all the time. And I think that's what I want to give to you guys is that sometimes it's okay to just go. If something's not working, you don't need to force it. Obviously, ask yourself, are you leaving because you're scared? Are you leaving because it's hard? Are you leaving because you don't think you're worth the effort? Are you leaving like if you can get curious and try and figure out your reasoning, that helps too. Leave, but then ask yourself why you left. Because that way, maybe if it was just because you were scared, then maybe it's like, okay, well, next time I can bring a friend and then I won't be scared. Or next time I know what I'm going, where I'm going, I'm knowing what it's going to be like. So I won't be as scared. Maybe I can try again and then I can stay longer, right? It's about getting curious with yourself, with your reasons. That's what builds your trust, and that's what I'm trying to build is where does it where is it scary in my body? What am I feeling? And then after that, what can I do to help myself? And it's like talking to myself like a kid. Like, okay, this is really scary. But I think you've done scary things before. You've conquered fears before. You've done terrifying things before. So what's different here? Is it because, well, this is part of I used to do scary things because I was undiagnosed and terrified and just doing them anyway because I thought I had to? Well, that's one reason. Cool. Does that mean that you can't do anything else anymore? It might. It might mean that when you're dealing with unmasking and trying to reorganize, that you're going to have a phase where, it's called a regression for a reason. You're not going to be able to do any of that. And I think I'm coming out of that regression slowly. Like I can feel things changing, and I've put a lot of tools in place. I'm back in therapy. I'm taking meds. I'm taking my ADHD meds. Like I made sure that to have an appointment so that I could change the meds because they weren't working for me. They were working against me. So I wasn't taking them, and therefore I was fighting my brain. Now I have all these tools. It's about building your toolkit, right? And that's what I want to help be for you guys. I just want to be yet another tool. That's why I make the candy I make. That's why I make these videos. It's because I want to be useful and I want to be able to help and I want to be able to give you guys what I wasn't given and what I'm now learning because we pass it on. So, on that note, I'm going to let you guys ponder on that. Let me know what you think of these Reddit stories. I apologize if I'm not super good at reading yet. I am dyslexic and reading on the fly is stressful, but I'm trying my best. And I wish you all the best for the rest of your week. And I hope you have a great day today. And if it's not a great day and you just have a day, well, I hope it's a day. And tomorrow you can try again. Remember that the planets are all in the microwave this week. There's a lot of intense emotions going about. The world is on fire. Everyone is feeling it. Our emotions internally are intense, and it's winter. We're in the coldest part of the year. Everyone is just like this all the time, and we don't, just take care of yourself, take care of the ones you love, put your oxygen mask on first. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.